To the Electrical and Electronic Engineering Lecture Series. Your anchor person is Professor Michael C. Ndinechi. Our topic today is Basic Antenna Theory. In order to couple to space the signal output of a transmitter or a signal to the input of a receiver, an interface called an antenna is required. Therefore, an antenna can be defined as any structure capable of radiating electromagnetic waves or receiving them. Antennas are generally a metallic object or a wire or collection of wires used to convert high-frequency current into electromagnetic waves and vice versa. Recall that in a transmission line, not all the energy applied at one end of the line finds its way to the other end. Some of them escape into space and are radiated. If we consider a typical transmission line in Fig. 1, it will be seen that the forward and backward traveling waves combine to form a standing wave on the line with a voltage antinode at the open circuited point, discussed in Module 002 Part 2. However, in practical transmission lines, a small portion of the electromagnetic energy escapes from the system and is radiated. This is because the lines of force traveling towards the open circuit undergo a violent change in form of phase reversal when they get to the end of the line. So, when the waves gets to the end of the line, it is forcefully radiated. It is important to note here that three possible difficulties arise. 1. The proportion of waves escaping the system to those remaining is very small. 2. If the surrounding space is considered as load to the transmission line, then a mismatch exists. Therefore, very little power is dissipated in this load. 3. If the two wires are very close to each other, the radiation from one tip cancels that from the other. This is because they are of opposite polarities and at a distance apart that is far less than the wavelength. This is the reason why low-frequency parallel wire transmission lines do not radiate. Shown Fig. A, B, C, the tips of the wire expanding a bit completely at 180 degrees, then the symbol of the antenna. To overcome these three difficulties, an enlargement of the open circuit, that is, spreading of the two wires, is required as in Fig. 2a. With this, there is less likelihood of cancellation from the two wire tips, and the radiating transmission line is better coupled to the surrounding space because more power will be dissipated to the surrounding. Again, because of the spreading out, waves traveling along the line find it more difficult to undergo phase reversal at the end, and this even increases the radiation. Further still, the radiation efficiency is improved more when the two wires are bent so as to be in the same line as shown in Fig. 2b. With this, the electric magnetic field is fully coupled to the surrounding space instead of being confined between the two wires, thereby giving the maximum possible amount of radiation. This type of radiator is called a dipole. When the total length of the two wires is a half wavelength, the antenna is called a half-wave dipole and is represented as shown in Fig. 2c. It is also known as a center phase antenna. The dipole, otherwise known as elementary droplet, is the simplest wire antenna and considered to be infinitely thin and has a length L, which is very short compared to the wavelength lambda. It is assumed that the current throughout it, that is I, is constant. If the radio frequency current is given as I sin omega t, using Maxwell's equation, the strength of the radiated field is given as strength equals Z into L over 2 times I all over d lambda cos theta cos omega into t minus d over Vc. Simplify further, you have equation 1. We say in the above equation, where is the strength of radiated field, Z is the characteristic impedance of free space, which is given as 120 pi ohms. D is the distance of the point at which the field strength is measured from elementary droplet. Vc is the velocity of light in free space, and theta is the angle of inclination. The first term in equation 1 gives the magnitude of the electric field at a distance L. It shows that the field strength depends on the power transmitted and is inversely proportional to the distance from the radiating source. The second term defines the radiation pattern. The last term takes into account the phase of the signal at some distant point. This is determined by the time it takes the signal traveling at the velocity of light to reach this point. The radiation field is not the only field surrounding the elementary dipole or any other antenna. Magnetic and electric fields exist also and are collectively referred to as the induction field. Such a field surrounds any current-carrying wire and, in fact, is stronger than the radiation field in the immediate vicinity of the radiator. However, the induction field diminishes very rapidly with increasing distance from the antenna and becomes insignificant a few wavelengths away. Some definitions will be meeting in the course of studying antennas. One is the power gain. The power gain takes into account the antenna losses. This is written as A subscript P equals nu D, where AP is the power gain, D is the directivity, and nu is the antenna efficiency, which is equal to 1 for lossless antennas. Antenna gain. All practical antennas concentrate their radiation in some direction. Therefore, the power density in that direction must be greater than it would have been if the antenna were omnidirectional. Directive gain is defined as the ratio of the power density radiated in that direction by the antenna to the power density that would have been radiated by an isotropic antenna, measured over the same distance when both antennas radiate the same total power. It is important to note here that by isotropic antenna, it means an antenna that radiates equally in all directions. Antenna resistance. Antenna resistances are of two components. One is the radiation resistance, which is defined as the ratio of the power radiated by the antenna to the square of the current at the feed point. Put differently, this is the resistance which, if it replaced the antenna, would dissipate precisely the same power as that radiated by the actual antenna. In addition to the energy which is radiated by the antenna, power may be dissipated as a result of antenna and ground resistance, discharge effect, losses in imperfect dielectrics very near to the antenna, and eddy current induced in metallic objects within the induction field of the antenna. It is usual to represent all these by a lumped resistance called RD. If the radiation resistance is RR, the sum of the two is the total resistance of the antenna and also the total impedance of antennas of resonant length. The antenna efficiency then becomes nu equals R subscript R all over R subscript R plus RD. Low and medium frequency antennas are the least likely to be very efficient because making them of resonant length often means having impossibly high structures. For a short dipole that is less than a half wavelength in effective length, the radiation resistance is proportional to the length. For dipoles far from the ground with a length L less than lambda over 8, radiation resistance is given as in equation 4, bandwidth. Bandwidth refers to the frequency range over which operation is satisfactory and is generally taken between the half power points or the 3 dB points. Beamwidth. The beamwidth of an antenna is the angular separation between the two half power points on the power density radiation pattern. That is, the angular separation between the 2 dB points on the fused strand radiated pattern of the antenna. Polarization. This refers to the direction in space of the electric vector of the electromagnetic wave radiated from the antenna and is parallel to the antenna itself. Please like, share, and subscribe. Drop your comments, questions, or topic you want me to lecture on in the comment section. Thank you for listening.